Hi everyone, Jane here. Thank you for watching my video today. Today I am doing a couple of fairly quick tags and I thought I'd do a 2 for the price of 1 background technique. I love stenciling almost as much as I love stamps. So I thought I'd do a bit of a stenciling sort of technique today, but using these ink sprays, and these are from Pretty Gets Gritty. I will list all the products I use down in the description box. Some of them may no longer be available, but where possible I will add links, but do please use sort of alternatives that you have already in your own stash, and always be aware that I am in the UK. So I put the stencil down on the first tag, and I spritzed as usual through the stencil. Then you get a lot of lovely ink left. So what I did was I then turned it upside down onto my other tag, pressed it with my kitchen towel, and you get this fabulous reverse print. And often I like that better than the first one. So I wanted to add some pretty flowers to this tag. Like I said, I was keeping it quite simple. So this is a stamp by Lemon Creation, Asher Marquette, and I think it is called, let me grab it, it is called My Anemone, and I'm stamping it out with VersaFine Clair black ink. Now my black ink I think does need re-inking, and so it was a bit sort of more of a dark grey in places, but I wasn't too worried because I knew I was colouring them in. So I'm just stamping a selection of the flowers out in the black ink, and I'm using VersaFine Clair because I am going to be using watercolours to colour these in, and VersaFine Clair is a permanent black ink. It's an oil sort of based ink, so the water will not react with the lines of the stamping, and that's what you need to be aware of when you're stamping out any images, thinking about what mediums you're going to be using to colour them in will determine what sort of ink you need to use. I'm cutting them out and I'm giving them a very small border around the edge. I do like doing that with the on these tags because if I'm building up dimension, I just think it gives a nicer look. So I'm using my Core by Golden watercolors in this little Bowerbird palette. I've just recently, as you will know from the last video, rediscovered that I put them in there. And if you're doing a little bit of colouring, it's actually quite a nice little palette to use. I wouldn't say necessarily that I would use it as a travel palette, which is what it was sort of advertised as, because it is quite heavy because it's got a ceramic sort of wells and ceramic palette bit in the middle. But it is a really sweet little palette, so I do like using it, but I wouldn't be taking it anywhere else. And it's just right if you've got a smallish brush to be able to dip in and get some colour for things like colouring in your images. So I am using water on the watercolor card. Now the watercolor card I used is Bockingford. It's a cellulose paper. It's not 100% cotton, but when I'm doing stamping and watercoloring images, I don't worry too much about using 100% cotton watercolor paper, because I don't think you haven't got enough of the watercolor effects to really need really good quality watercolor cardstock. That's my opinion anyway. So I coloured them all in. I added a bit more into the middle as well. I added in some Quinacridone gold, and then I got together some die cuts that I already had cut out. Now this is what I tend to do when I'm making projects. I tend to sort of over prepare. I usually cut lots and lots of things out ready. I do it when I'm doing stamping, I do it when I'm doing die cutting, but that means that you often have a really nice selection of things ready, so that if you want to make something quite quick to add to a background you've created, then you've got them sort of available. Now the film strip I do believe is from a die set that is no longer can't get my words out, no longer available. It was an Elizabeth Crafts planner film strip die. I have linked it, I have listed it previously. I'll try and list it again if I can find the information. The little flourishes and leaves are from die sets by Pretty Gets Gritty, and I think that's the two main die sets that are there actually. So those are the two die sets that I had bits and pieces from, and I'm just adding them on with my Pinflair glue gel. Now I'm not gluing every single thing down. I'm not worried. The glue gel is actually a really good stick, so I'm not too worried, but I'm just adding them in places because I want to give that bit of dimension, that bit of sort of flow and freedom and looking a bit more realistic perhaps. I'm not quite sure, but I like that look. So I'm just adding in the bits and pieces wherever I feel. I'd sort of laid them out first so that I could see where I might want them to go, and then I'm sticking them on with the gel. I did spend a bit of time thinking, did I need an extra flower, which I didn't do. Then in a moment I will be adding some sentiments from the Small Talk stickers by Tim Holtz, and then that will be the end of these tags. So thank you ever so much for watching today, and if you did enjoy this video, do please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it if you could do that as well. That would be really helpful for this channel, and until the next time, bye bye.